Hello there and welcome to Clip Chats, part of our Entree series where we dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship. My name is Brendan Lees from Clipboard Hospitality, and here today I have Mr. Sam Werrett with us. Sam, welcome to the Clip Chats and Entree series. To give you a bit of an update on what this series is about, we launched this with a real focus and real passion about entrepreneurship. You know, the industry's been hit so hard by the pandemic, but what I love about this industry is the ability to create something from nothing. You know, whether you're a chef, a barista, in food services, in technology, I think entrepreneurship in hospitality is a really exciting pathway into this great career on a global scale. So we launched this series to make it really fun, really cool, talk to thought leaders like yourself and business leaders, and really to get an understanding of your story. And I suppose the feedback we've received over the last couple episodes has been around the mindset of an entrepreneur, because I think there's a bit of a myth around entrepreneurship. You know, when do I start, or why do I start it? It's long hours, but also the misconception that the illusion sometimes of the great successes that you see on your LinkedIn or Facebook or all these newspapers. But that journey to me is what is most fascinating. Like, I think it's such a raw, authentic, passion kind of, driver, which is why I'm so excited to talk to you about today, because I know your journey and your history, and really looking to dive into this journey you've taken on. I think you've had now 4 businesses in the last 5-6 years, and you're only 30. So like, it's a great story to tell, and I'm sure there's plenty of learning. So just for our audience, give us a bit of background on yourself and what you do, and then where you come from.
Will do. Thanks, Brendan. So my background is, I guess I fell into loving hospitality at a pretty young age, or a pretty common age, I think, to fall into hospitality. I think it was 16 at the time when I started working for my first cafe.
Was that on the path to your real job, like most people do when they start hospitality? They start as a casual work and then move on.
Yeah. I think that was what was intended. But then very quickly kind of loved everything about it. And I ended up going on and studying accounting finance, which at the time I really struggled with. I think it was not from any other reason than I kind of just wanted to get out there and be doing things. And it felt very structured, and I can now see how great the learning was, for sure. But during that time, I just wanted to kind of get out there and do things. So yeah, as soon as I finished that degree, in fact, the last semester of that degree, I decided to open a coffee shop. And that was what became Steam Engine, and opened it with one of my best mates at the time, or still is one of my best mates now, which is awesome.
That's good. That's always hard too. You're starting something with a friend or partner or something, and just what's now been how many years since you've had Steam Engine?
8 years.
And still going strong, and also kept the relationship.
Yeah. I actually take that as one of the biggest accomplishment actually for me, was navigating that from a partnership perspective.
And so take me back. So you fell in love with hospitality at 16, did your high school, then you went to your degree.
Yeah.
What point did you realize that you wanted to start something for yourself? What was the sort of motivation or the trigger behind it? I know you had the love for it, so the passion was already there. You fell into it. I think most people who are in our industry, I was the same. Like I came from a family of media and advertising. And I remember being told by my father and my brothers, we need to get a real job, because I was doing hospitality while studying my marketing degree. But for me, I loved being around the environment, the people, food, wine, coffee. I know, and I just found it so amazing, the different skill sets that I was learning. But for me, it was like, hey, I want something for my legacy, and hospitality was a great pathway. How did it work out for you? What was that trigger moment?
For me, it was getting back to the basics. I wanted to be on the ground, doing something that was very tangible and textile, or engaging in that really intimate kind of sense. And I found while I was studying, it was so theoretical, so lofty, and it was really hard to find like the practicality of that. So I fell into it for just wanting to be on the ground, talking to people, making something. And I just found that once I got in and started doing that, I saw how small actions can have a massive impact. And I remember years ago, I heard a podcast by Peter Giuliano, he was the founder of one of the specialty coffee organizations in America. And the way he articulated it was perfect. It was like people are at their most vulnerable at that start of the day, where they've just come away from their family and they're about to start their work, and you have the ability to really set their day in a way. You might be their first, you might be actually one of the only people that they communicate with or get to interact with for the first part of their day. So yeah, I found that really rewarding in a way that I never kind of considered.
It's amazing. Yeah. I love that word, the rewarding. So you've gone, the piece you just talked about was having an impact on others.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, that's the motivation for doing something. So you studied the accounting and that degree, which I'm sure serves a purpose now in hospitality.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is great because, I commend those people who started off doing something and then came into the industry. But that purpose of wanting to make a difference, and it might sound a bit holistic in that sense, but we talked about the financial gains and that. Yeah, well, that may or may not come. I think if that's always a focal point, the focal point needs to be focused on, but the focal point, it makes our decisions become too regimented, too process driven. Where, like you said, we're in the service, entertainment, authenticity industry, and that's probably what I love about your first memory of why you want to do something for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard, even particularly now. Like it's a really hard space in the world to find meaning. So if you can kind of strip away all of the big news and media and what your parents want you to do and what society wants you to do, and just kind of focus on something that's you can, and a craft like coffee making, and there's so many crafts in the hospitality industry. It really gives you something to focus on and to refine and to be able to provide.
So when you made this decision, who did you lean on? Who did you like? Because it is a big step, and from going from wishful thinking, I want to be my own boss, I want to start something, to then actually doing it. So I want to know that journey, and we'll talk about the other businesses you started, and obviously Food Equity Group, which is going gangbusters right now, which is fantastic. But what was that process from I want to do this, which we just talked about, and why, to then actually doing it? Did you have a network of mates, family you spoke to? Because you obviously had the confidence in your ability. Yep. I think that's a key. You got to have confidence in what you want to do and have the passion behind it. But what's that little process from, I got this idea, I want to be in coffee, I want to start this, to actually then, who do I talk to?
I think I was very lucky to have, and I'm very lucky to have supportive friends and family. And I definitely think without that, it would be tough. It'd be really tough if you were kind of unsupported in that sense. So community and trying to not only tie that into, or to see that from your life, but also tie that into the businesses you create is, to me, key. It was probably my dad who kind of said go for it, that really helped me kind of drive that way. Like it kind of, in a way, set me free to be able to go, I'm on for this. And my mate Rolls, who I opened the shop with, we had a great partnership. And I mean, before I opened the coffee shop, I didn't make coffee. So talk about having the confidence, yes, but I didn't have the skills to start with.
Yeah, but you had the confidence in your mindset and that you can achieve it. Yeah. If you put your mind to it and your I suppose, ambition to it and your blood, sweat and tears into it.
That's it. Yeah, you can definitely learn the skills along the way. But if confidence is I'm not sure if that's the right word. It definitely, to me, it was like a partnership, and we were going in this for, and it does sound a bit lofty, but for the purpose of providing Chatswood with the best coffee experience we could. And that just kept driving me in terms of that vision of what we were trying to achieve. Not so much the minutiae of the day-to-day. Obviously, that's very important to running a business, but you kind of pick that up and learn it along the way.
And so that's exactly right. You pick it along the way, but you also then you went into partnership. So you probably identified different skill sets between you and your partner, and then you probably brought on people with even further skill sets. So because not just from Steam Engine, you've gone on and created 2 restaurants and food equity groups. So tell us about that. So you've gone from 1 to having 3, and obviously we talked yourself the other ones. What was it, a bit of a bug then? You got 1, you went more?
We were chatting just before about this, but I kind of just at that point was just ready to just say yes to any opportunities that were coming my way. And I think it's a great way to really start that process by being out there and looking for opportunities and letting the opportunities come in, because you never know where it's going to come from. The opportunity to then take over what was a casual Italian restaurant and to launch a new premium Asian fusion style restaurant in Chatswood. Those opportunities came up and I dove headfirst in. And it's actually now how I met my co-founders for Food Equity Group, Graham and Richie.
Another opportunity presented itself from doing this, and now here you are.
And now here I am. Yeah, the restaurants are now sold and focused now on Food Equity Group.
And the restaurants were staying in Chatswood as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
So you obviously built a community, or you had an impact on the community around there. And then again, that word confidence, or the ability to, Steam Engine's done that. We've built the relationships. I now have more confidence in opening the other 2 because of what we've created from the ground level. It's really fascinating. Like, I think, again, and I'm going to ask a bit of a tough question now, is and probably what we want to hear too is, so you've gone from 1 to the 2 restaurants now to Food Equity. What would be the biggest mistake? Or that's not a mistake. What has been the biggest learnings? Or is there a time or an incident or something that happened you went, did it ever come up and go, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this anymore? Because you do get that time as an entrepreneur moving forward that, things may be in that honeymoon period going great. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, what have I gotten myself into? How am I going to get out of this? And what do I do from a mindset perspective, from a process perspective, to then go, hey, no, I've got this there, let's just rechannel and move that energy over there. Has that ever happened to you in your journey?
Yeah, I mean, you face mindset challenges and those big challenges monthly in hospitality. And I think that's why I love it, because it's such an opportunity to grow and learn. And that's the way I try and frame it, is that any really difficult situation is an amazing opportunity to learn, and maybe it means that something's not working that really does need to be changed. That happened numerous times, and like the decisions to sell the businesses were always tough. To me, that's where the tough part is, the exiting and moving on, because I just love investing and throwing myself in. So I see myself in kind of all of those businesses or entities as kind of a part of me. So to be able to then compartmentalize that and move on from that is a challenge. But to me, like, it's always the biggest challenges arise with managing people is always really the challenges. And the support you can provide from a business perspective is amazing, to be able to give someone a livelihood and support. But the biggest challenge is then making sure that that's balanced, and that you don't need to be their full support, but you are there as an important part of their life. So that's probably the biggest challenges I find in terms of, because I want to go over and beyond, and I want to provide the most support I can for my staff, and create that really nurturing culture that encourages and uplifts. But there's those really tough decisions where it's not quite working.
Yeah, okay.
And that's definitely the biggest challenges I face in hospitality.
Because you mentioned I love the fact, because it leads into my next point about culture. And I really wanted to touch this on with you, because for someone who's started with one shop one business, gone on and done two more, and then Food Equity Group. You've obviously created for yourself a really great model, but also beyond that, a great vision. And for me, I truly believe that culture starts with a shared vision and a vision that people can buy into.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, the industry or the commodity that we're in, you said it's a learned skill. You can get the right people to create the right menus or the coffees and that, but talent isn't everything. You know, we talk about football clubs or NRL clubs or sporting organisations. Yeah, you can have all the talent in the world, but if the culture's not right, it's only going to be a short period of success, maybe.
Yeah.
So I think the same goes for hospitality. I look at hospitality in its own little bubble, its own little world. I love that description of it because there's so many things you can do in there. But again, success can be really quick, but it can also be taken away. And I think the longevity piece is around culture. So
100%.
So give us, I'd love to know, I think for me, it's the shared vision, accountability, all these kind of, big words. But in essence, what to you makes the foundation of a great culture? And how do you impact them? You said before, you nurture, that's one word, but how, being a business leader, and having teams, what is the essence that creates that foundation for a good culture?
It's a really, really good question. That's $1 million question.
I'm getting good at my questions.
Yeah. I think if there was one answer to that and everyone knew it, it would.
From your perspective, obviously it is going to be different to every industry, every business, but I feel that leaders, there's always these cliches, lead from the front, lead by example. Or, there's so many different textbooks out there and podcasts and idols and videos, but I love, because you make mistakes along the way, I think experience is really key for leadership. But building a culture in hospitality, especially when you've got transitional staff coming through or you have casual workers, culture to me is the number one pillar for success in our industry. You can have the best menu, you can have the best wine, best coffee, the product can be sensational. You got no one to sell it or no one to produce it or cook it because of the culture.
Culture is what ties people together.
It does.
And if you don't have that in your business, it's going to very quickly start to fall apart.
So how have you, has that always been on the forefront of your mind when building these businesses?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Steam Engine, it's a small shop, very intimate. There's enough space just for 4 people to very tightly work behind the benches and just pump coffees. So I very quickly learned and was very focused on making sure that was a really, that needed to be the heartbeat of the shop. And that it was the way that we interacted and worked together as a team that meant we could provide the experience that we were looking to provide.
You got the divide, which I think's come a long way, but you've got the back of house and front of house, right? So you've got to manage that dynamic. So I think it's come a long way what it used to be.
Yep.
Like when I was coming through the ranks, I knew that was like separate. I had chefs throwing pans at this person, and that's all now changed, thank God. But I think that mentality,
it's funny you say that because I saw that dynamic and I tried to do everything I could to break that. Steam Engine, you didn't, like the back of the house was kind of just facing the back of the front of house. So they were interacting and everyone would kind of jump onto every position.
Which I think
when needed. Because, fantastic. It means that everyone kind of understands the components of the shop and can sympathise and relate to the other person in that position.
And that impacts on the culture so positively, understanding, relating to what work and what pressure, and everyone feels it together. And what I love about any challenge that comes your way, and there's challenges every day in hospitality, from wrong orders to forgetting things to food safety advice. There's so much that comes through that, but I love it's a challenge because it's a team, you overcome it. I think, that's a real key aspect to what you've created, and what people who are looking to go into business should put on the forefront of their mind. Like, I didn't know much about it going into business. I got trained on it and read a lot about it. And I think naturally I was a bit of a people's person. I think you're the same. But for those out there who are really product driven, let's say a chef wants to go and start his own business, or a barista who's so in depth with the coffee making art. I know for me, I would say something like this what we're doing, or hearing people's stories around culture should be on the top priority for them, because they're going to have a team. I think if we more invest in the team, more invest in culture building resources or activities, well-being, I think that's really key for any entrepreneur who's looking to start their business, because you can't do it all yourself. And like we mentioned before, we talked about you surround yourself with the right people, your business partner, and on. And I think the gel that holds that together is that's that person who has the foresight to go, hey, let's get our culture right, because everything else will come from there.
It's definitely, it's so obviously there, but
it's not easy to do.
It just can never be underinvested in. You can do like there's, and the fun thing is that because you're dealing with people, there's no like shortage of fun things you can do to build that culture in one sense community, that it ripples out to your customers. And we've got customers that have come into the shop for every day for 8 years, and like they're part of the experience and culture in a way as well.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah.
And that shines through too, doesn't it? Like to your customers or your clients, what you create internally reflects on them, and that's why they probably keep coming back. So from a sales point of view, culture also impacts on the ability to get that recurring customer coming through. So it is a vital point to any business or any person looking to start their business. Yeah. I think we've just established that you should be focusing on it beyond all the other 50,000 pillars that you need to focus on when you start a business.
Yep.
But it's funny because your journey then goes from steam engine to the restaurants, and then you've now you've launched Food Equity Group. And I love the slogan, changing the way Australia eats.
We're getting there.
Yeah, good. So tell us about FEG or Food Equity Group, because I think it's a different space to what you've been in. Still very involved different in the industry. Like you've gone from hands-on building teams to building restaurants to being that. Now you're doing something completely different. So tell us about FEG and the, I suppose, how that journey started and what you've learned and where you want to go with it.
Well, Food Equity Group was born out of trying to work out how can we create innovative things in the food industry, but at a larger scale. Yep. And initially it was we wanted to expand some of the restaurant concepts and do general chow and launch that as kind of a range of restaurants across Australia. And we always had this idea of kind of working on some food products to then support the businesses. And that very quickly became the main problem that we started to look to solve. And the restaurants we kept on tinkering with, but it was around like food products and how can we create exciting new food products that solve problems in the food industry. You got lack of labour, skilled labour, which is rife now. You've got costs inflating very quickly. There's really difficult wastage components you're trying to build into your kitchen menu. And we thought, how can we try and like solve some of these issues? So we and Richie came up with these amazing different food products that we realized that we could scope into manufacturers who has spare capacity in their warehousing or in their production plants, and scale some of these products that such as self-glazing sticky wings and lamb shanks that were pre-marinated, sous vide cooked. All the chef needed to do was kind of take it out of the bag and chuck it in the oven for 20 minutes. And we just found that kind of offering to the food service was very quickly absorbed. And we started to scale
there quickly because when people might hear that, right, it's pre-marinated, sous vide, things like that. 10 years ago, like if you told a chef that's happening, no way. No way.
Yeah.
But what I love about it, you have a chef in there who creates this. So it's not like you're just pulling parts together. You've got a creative director or chef, executive chef in there creating this. So, and I've tasted it, and I'm not here just to push it, but the fact that it comes from a place of, like I said, the chef creating it to that, and the process. I love the word innovation because it's the process that had been the challenges. Yeah. Shortage of labour, supply, all this stuff. You're really diving in, still using the foundations of hospitality from a kitchen point of view and a chef's point of view to create something, but at the same time tackling those problems that we're facing heavily today. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just love that point of it's still coming from the essence of quality, taste, delicious, that sort of mentality, but being innovative at the same time.
Yep.
So you got this now, and so where does it sit at the moment, FEG? So
now we've gone from supplying into food service and realised that there's also this opportunity to reformat a lot of those products and send them into retail shops. So IGAs, we're servicing around 200 across Australia at the moment with kind of We're taking that food service packs of and reformatting them into more consumer sized products. So
it's just fascinating. You've gone from wanting to do coffee, accounting, finance degree, coffee, to restaurants, now to in the food service, and like I said, changing the way Australia eats. What I know that you mentioned before, the opportunities came from opening the restaurants and who your co-founders are and team. But why? What I really want to know is why. What is the purpose? Like the word purpose of doing Food Equity Group? Like, was it around that passion for food and changing that food science area, maybe, or was it around the state of sustainability, or having a real impact in that food wastage space? Like, is that? I know we've talked about before. I know well-being's a big. You're a big advocate for well-being, in that I feel that this might be another area that you have a big passion project sort of for as well.
Yeah, I think being in the food industry for so long, I've realised how challenging it is. It's one of the most challenging and equally rewarding places you can be, in my opinion. It's just due to the nature of the beast. It's very complex and it's very day to day. You're dealing with you've got a menu with hundreds of ingredients that you're trying to balance and cook and prep for. You don't know how many people are going to come in for the restaurant. It's one of the most challenging places to be.
You're saying all that with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
What I love.
You've
got a smile on your face when you talk about the challenges of our industry, but you're smiling about it.
Yeah, it's an amazing puzzle to try and piece together. And to me, it was around how can we provide some solutions to that? Because it is so difficult. How can we create something that maybe gives that chef a bit of free space to be able to focus on something else that he really wants to work and create on? So to be able to provide him with maybe his lamb shanks and his brisket and his wings, that means he can make the best burger on his menu, and gives him or her that ability to really nail into their passions. It's very problem solution orientated.
Well, it goes back to your original thing of wanting to help and wanting to do something like you when you opened the coffee shop, was to impact on people. Well, now you're doing it from an internal point, impacting on these chefs and executive chefs and cooks to be able to, you said, focus on what they really want to focus on. Well, you've got this part covered from. So I can you look at your lineage or your legacy so far, your journey, that initial wanting to impact on people is still coming to fruition with FEG, even though it might not set in the start. But I really love the fact that your journey and how it's just changed the way. And like I said, you were smiling before about challenges. Like, that's the beauty of our industry. And I mentioned before, like, it's its own little world, own little bubble. But that perception, I think, really needs to change. And that's what we started Clipboard for, that you can have a success, depending on what you would define success as, but a successful career in this industry. And the scope of our industry is not the barista, chef, and the cafe or the restaurant. It's what FEG does. It's technology in hospitality. It's leadership and training in hospitality. I'm really excited for what the future holds. If you're a 16, 17-year-old and want to own your own business or want to be in entrepreneurship or want to be in tech, right now, hospitality is the space. You're seeing companies like Mr. Young, raise $90 million for a Cuba, but it's hospitality. Now, yes, the technology is there, but it's for hospitality. Food services businesses that are wholesalers raising these things and doing something innovative. I think now's the time, and here we are with a labour shortage. Like, it blows my mind that there is so much opportunity to different pathways. And I know the stigma of hospitality will always sort of be there. Long hours, tough, bad pay. But that's the minority. That's what you hear about.
That's what you hear about. It's definitely not
the
reality.
It's not the reality. And I think now, the impact that you said before about staying a culture, having a vision, being different, having a chance to have freedom, I really am excited for the next 12 to 24 months. It's going to be tough, but I think we're at a point now where, these young, passionate, let's call them entrepreneurs, because they've got to start somewhere, is really going to shape of how this industry here locally, but also globally, changes. I think that's really exciting.
It's very exciting.
It's really cool. And I want people to be excited about, like you are. Like I said, it's great to hear the passion come out of you, because, it's something that I think got lost. And it's now, again, this is just my opinion, and I think it's now starting to has an opportunity to really come back. I think stories like yours and others is really key to that.
And in a big way, I think there'll be, over the last few years, I think there is greater appreciation for the industry and what it provides. I mean, to be classified as essential workers through a pandemic, I think shone a bit of a light and gave people a bit of reflection on what adds a lot of value to our lives. And I think providing in any sense of food, or whether it's beverage, you are providing a lot. And there's a reason why. I mean, it's the most basic reason, right? We need food, and we need community, and we need and hospitality is providing that, really.
And it's funny because it definitely is. And I think that gets lost too at higher uppers and higher ends. Like, it's amazing how much impact hospitality and tourism have on not just the economy, the global and the local economy, but what it does for the general individual. Like you mentioned, like coming into a coffee shop can set the premise for the day. That's the first thing I reckon people get after they say goodbye to their family. The first thing they go is, where's my coffee? Whether it's from home or afterwards. Yeah? And then it's a chance to celebrate. So we create celebration. We create memories. That's something that we impact so many people's lives, this industry does, as an afterthought. But if you put that to the forefront, and talking about this perception, to change this perception, you just turned 30 or 30, and you've had a successful career so far in hospitality, right? 30. There are people who run fine dining restaurants who are turning over $10 million a year.
Totally. Yeah.
People who are running 300-seater restaurant with 50 staff. Where they are, please send them, share the staff line. But that is hospitality. You are not just a bricks and mortar coffee food. You are leading teams. You are creating strategy. You're doing marketing. You're using technology. To be in this industry, you have to be so diverse, adaptable, think on your feet. As you mentioned before, we will classify as essential. Like, that excites me. But again, where it gets lost, it's just hospitality. It's just the job you do before you go into your real career. And I think that needs to change, and it's starting to change. Yeah. And that's what I'm really excited about, because
I love how passionate you are about that.
I am. And this is meant to be about you, and I'm talking a lot. I apologise. But
no.
We've had these conversations before, and I think that's why we get along well, because it's something that I think, I've got nephews and who are 16, 17, 18, 20, and they're all doing their marketing degree, and that's great. But that word purpose, I feel that it gets lost in our industry. It doesn't get spoken about enough, because there are people out there who have grinded their way, who have set the foundations, but have purpose. And talking about creating something from nothing, or being able to showcase a passion, that's what drives me in this industry, that passion. We're a passionate people. We get angry. We get frustrated. We can, but at the end of the day, we impact on so many people's lives that gets taken for granted sometimes. And that's why I love hearing your story. And you did accounting and finance. That was your degree, right? And sound like me, I did marketing. That was my degree. I'm going to do what my family did or my friends were doing. And, I remember moving to London, and the last week before I started my new job, the last night, I had £5 in my pocket. Like, do you want a pint, or do you want to go get the McDonald's or something? That was my decision. And looking back on it now, I learned how to survive. But I worked in hospitality. That was my driving factor. I had to survive. And here I am now in Sydney talking to you, 10 years later. And I love that. And who knows what the future can hold. And we were talking about doing food trucks before on the way, things like, it's got so many opportunities. And I love that part, that essence of it. And that's, to me, is what entrepreneurship's about. The passion, the innovation, the drive, the people you're surrounded with, and to see you smiling, talking about challenges, that to me is what entrepreneurship, the essence is.
Yeah. And what I'm really like finding myself now gravitating towards is seeing the young people come through the businesses and giving them all the opportunities that they could possibly have to go on and either become the managers or, in a lot of cases, having had a lot of people work in these businesses, you start to see that they want to do something as well, and giving them the tools and the confidence to be able to go on and start their own business.
Again, impacting.
Yeah.
If I take anything away from today, I've learned a lot about you today as well, is the fact you can really see in the way you describe, you love to have impact on people's lives, from a consumer or your team. And that is rare. Like that, I love that purpose, because all the success in that, whatever it is, that's all secondary. It's all secondary to what I see. That,
yeah, it is. I haven't really probably put it in that light before, but definitely is. Yeah, that's what drives me. Yeah.
I love it. All right, so the last thing I like to ask people is, give me a day in the life of Sam Werrett. So when you wake up to when you get home, what is the routine? I'm a big believer in routine.
Yeah.
And I think, you read all from what Richard Branson's done in his daily routine to what, the executive chef down the road does. So what is the routine? Because these hospitals, long hours, it's a long time. What is your routine?
It's a great question.
Does it change every day?
It does a little. Actually, I try and work on a weekly routine, so my days kind of vary across the week. But in general, the essence is get up, do some exercise of some form. And I'm lucky enough now that I'm not opening the coffee shop at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. every morning. So I have a bit of time in the morning to be able to do that, to move. And then I'll usually sit down and for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I'll have quick 15-minute catch-ups with different parts of the teams across the businesses. That's kind of like a daily catch-up. And then I'll usually base myself, go in, have some coffee at Steam Engine, see how the team's going there, probably be fielding, taking a few calls, and then I'll try and sit down and just plug away for a few hours. And I find it like now I've kind of worked my workload so that I can get most of my work done in about 3 to 4 hours. But it's great. It's like diverse. I get to be either talking to people or sending out emails or working on, my best friend Excel. We have a good relationship. And then, I try and give myself time either end of the day to work on me and to give myself space.
Yeah, good. I was going to ask that.
Because if it can get too much in your head, and the number one thing for me is giving myself space to put it all away and do something different, go for a surf, go for a walk, catch up with friends. It's
so key. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I knew you. I think that's for our industry, those long hours. Like I said, you're not waking up at 5 a.m., but you used to, right? And I think the importance of focusing on yourself, being selfish a little bit, because if it's just work, and it's just that long hours, and it's got to be done, and you're a yes, it can have a massive toll on your body, your mindset, your relationships. It becomes toxic. Yeah. And the business might be growing, succeeding in that, but again, it could be a short term. Yeah. And beyond that, you want to be around, you want to be there to celebrate that, what truly matters. So I think that the point about, having that time to work on yourself. You said you wake up, you exercise, you have your coffee. Those little moments allows you to give you that space. It's a really good way of explaining, I think. Space is so important. Having your time.
It's fine. And I find that a lot, it's in that space that the more creative ideas start to come up. And that's the part I love, seeing them come up and grabbing them and going, awesome. Like, and then trying to integrate that as like a practical outcome through some of the different ways. Because it's amazing what comes up when you do give yourself that time to be free.
Love it. Well, mate, thank you so much for joining us on Clip Chats. I really appreciate it.
Great
Hearing
to
your
chat.
story. Guys, thank you very much. As I think some really key points there, or learnings we got from Sam, things like purpose around wanting to help people was really cool. We've had that in previous episodes as well. Innovation, working on yourself, being that ability to really just, I suppose, enjoy and have that passion for what we do. And I'm really excited about where the industry is going, and I hope you guys are getting some learnings from this series. Stay tuned, there's more to come, and please provide us any feedback, any questions, anything you guys want to hear, we'd love to know about it. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, Brendan.